everybody. My name is Jess, and I'll be your safari driver and guide. Now, I am actually driving this truck, so make sure we are staying seated and keep our hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. That also includes any children sitting on laps. Please don't try to recreate the Lion King on my truck. I appreciate it. And for your safety and the safety of others, make sure we are keeping those face coverings on at all times, covering our nose, mouth, and chin. Now we're going to be exploring the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. If you look above your heads, there's a safari spotting guide. Now we may not see all of those animals due to migration and sleeping patterns, but we'll do our best to see as many as we can. Now our first stop is going to be the Little Aturi Forest. Animals here have camouflage to blend into their surroundings, so keep those eyes peeled. Now there is your first animal to see on the right side. That is called an okapi over by that tree. Now they are not related to the zebra, as you may think, with those stripes on their legs. They're actually related to the giraffe. They have a long prehensile tongue in their mouths, just like a giraffe, that allows them to grasp at the leaves of trees and bushes. And for perspective, that tongue of theirs can be about as long as your elbows to the tips of your fingers. They can, in fact, lick their own eyeballs. And if you do look over to the left, off in the distance, that is a black rhino. We'll try and get a closer look of it. And black rhinos are one of the smaller species of rhino. They weigh about 3,000 pounds. Still a large animal to us. Now they have a triangle-shaped lip, which helps them to grasp leaves of trees and bushes, just like an okapi's tongue. Now unfortunately, they are very critically endangered. There's less than 5,000 of them left in the world, so we are very lucky to see one. Now the reason their numbers are so low is because of poachers who are after their horns. Those horns are made of keratin, which is the same material our hair and fingernails are made out of. It also has been proven to have no medicinal properties, so the only animals that need those horns are the rhinos. Now there are some animals coming up ahead. They look to be crossing the path in front of the truck in front of us. There's actually two different types of antelope coming up. Now you'll see some with horns and ones without. They are two different species. The ones without horns are called the greater kudu, and you'll see them on the left side. Now these ones are females because they don't have horns, only the males do. They also are the tallest of the forest antelope. Now the ones that you see with horns are called bongos. They get the nicknames ghosts of the forest as they are very shy and reclusive. And both males and females have horns for that species. Those horns are actually used to dig up roots in the ground for them to eat. Now we are going to continue on and go to the Safi River. That's where we can find some aquatic animals. Rivers and watering holes are great places to find animals. Water is our most valuable resource on this planet, and it's the reason life exists at all. So it's always good to protect our water resources just as much as our resources on land. I think I do see something in the water up ahead. You may see one over to our right side. That is a Nile hippopotamus. There are a couple more over to our left as well. Now the Nile hippopotamus, they weigh about 5,500 pounds, although it is kind of hard to tell that when they are in the water. And they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time. And they also get the nicknames the river horses, because even though they are really good swimmers, they prefer to walk on the riverbed instead. You may actually get a view of a hippo walking on the riverbed over to our left by this island. Now on top of the island, those are called pink-backed pelicans. Now they get that name because underneath their feathers, their skin turns pink during the mating season. Some say they blush for one another. You also may have seen those pelicans were grooming their feathers with their beaks. They secrete an oil from their skin which they'll spread out onto their feathers to help keep those feathers waterproof. So now we're going to get a pretty interesting sight over to our left. There is a hippopotamus out of the water. Looks like it's enjoying a little bit of sun. They can't stay under the water too long in the sun though because they can get sunburned. Now, make sure we are staying seated. We're going to cross over this bridge, and these are Nile crocodiles to our left. Now, the Nile crocodiles can grow to be about 16 feet long, and they can jump their body length out of the water, which is very impressive. Now, just like most other reptiles, they are exothermic, which means they are cold-blooded, and they have to use outside sources to heat and cool their bodies, unlike us humans who are warm-blooded or endothermic. So for the crocodiles, they'll use the sunlight to heat up their bodies, but to cool their bodies down, they could go into the water, or sometimes they'll open up their jaws on the riverbanks and release the excess heat from inside their bodies through their mouths. Now it looks like we're coming up to a savanna. The tree line has cleared of the head. Savannas are used as natural highways for migratory species. That's because it is relatively flat and it doesn't have a whole lot of trees. Makes it easier for those large groups of animals to move around. You can take a look at this fantastic view though. This is one of my favorite views on the reserve. I'm going to try and get a close look of some animals down there. Now as you look at the landscape, it actually is molded by the animals that live here. The animals that eat the grasses, such as zebras, antelope, and wildebeest, they keep these grasses nice and short. You could kind of think of them as nature's lawnmowers. Now the animals that eat leaves off trees, such as giraffes, they'll eat the leaves off of these trees to the point where they can't reach anymore. And that's what makes a lot of these trees look like leaves only grow at the very tops of them. Elephants will also eat leaves off the trees, but they'll actually knock over a tree to do so if they can't reach them. So when they knock over a tree down, that actually makes way for more grasses to grow within the savanna. That means more food for the zebra and antelope. So it is kind of like a literal circle of life out here. You may see some zebra over to our right side. Now those are Hartman's mountain zebra. We'll get a closer look of them in just a moment, because if you do look over to the left, to the right of the cave, there are some African wild dogs resting in the sun. Now they are one of the most successful hunters in Africa. They use pack mentality and great communication skills. They actually have about a 90% success rate on their hunts. Now the way they communicate with one another is not by barking or howling. They actually make squeaking sounds, so it kind of sounds like mice are talking to one another. Now we're going to get a closer look of the zebra. Like I said, they're Hartman's mountain zebra. They actually have a skin flap underneath their necks, which is called a dewlap, and it helps to regulate their body temperatures. Now this one actually is a mother and its young foal. That young foal is probably a couple months old. Now they are born with adult-sized legs, which helps them to learn how to walk within a half hour of being born. They also are black with white stripes, and that's because of the color of their noses. Their stripe patterns are unique to the individual. No two are alike. It's just like our fingerprints. That stripe pattern is also perfect camouflage. Not really with their surroundings, but with each other. When they migrate in very large herds, it makes it hard for predators to see where one zebra starts and one zebra ends. There's a couple more animals over in the clearing up ahead. We're going to get a closer look. Now you may see way off in the distance some giraffe. They are the tallest of the land animals after all. There's actually a whole group of them hanging out over in the shade by some bushes, kind of over to the right. Now, a group of giraffe is called a tower. That's not just because they're the tallest land animals. They're also the watchtowers of the savanna. Watchtowers. They usually spot danger before the other animals. They do grow to be about 20 feet tall. That is taller than this truck, after all. You get another view of another Hartman's mountain zebra. Now that particular species of giraffe that you will see are called Maasai giraffe for those irregular, jagged shaped spots that are on their bodies. And they do eat about 20 hours a day. They only sleep about 30 minutes a day, and they will sleep standing up. And you'll also see two different types of antelope up on top of the hill. The gray ones are white-bearded wildebeest, and those small tan and white antelope are called springbok. Now the springbok actually get their name because they can jump up to 6 feet in the air when they're excited or scared. It's a behavior called pronking. And the white-bearded wildebeest actually are the second most densely populated mammals on the planet. That is second only to us humans. And they can be seen in herds as large as 1.5 million individuals. It looks like there are a lot of down trees up ahead. Maybe we're gonna find a larger animal. And we're actually gonna see two different animals up ahead. Over to our right side, you're going to see an African elephant off in the distance. That one's most likely a male elephant because it's by itself. They usually live the solitary lifestyle or will form a small bachelor herd. Now on the left side, you're going to see a troop of mandrills, the largest of the monkey species. Males weigh about 100 pounds. They're most well known for those red and blue markings that are on their faces. You may recognize the mandrills. There is a famous one from the movie The Lion King. Does anyone know who that is? Rafiki. I heard one person say it. Yes, Rafiki is a mandrill. We're going to get a closer look of this elephant. Now, if you notice, it does have a little bit of sun on its back, and you can kind of see it has those little tiny hairs all over its body. A lot of people think that they only have hair on their tails because it is kind of hard to see that they do have hair covering their entire bodies. It's a very thin hair, though. And we're going to try and find a herd of elephants up ahead. An elephant herd consists of females and their babies, their offspring. They are led by the oldest female in the herd, which is called the matriarch. Now, the matriarch, she knows all the best places to find food and water, as well as their migration patterns that have been passed down from previous generations within the herd. It looks like we are passing by some red clay. Elephants actually eat this clay. It gives them valuable nutrients into their bodies that they may be missing from those leafy greens. Looks like there's quite a bit of tusk marks in that clay. Let's see if we can catch up to those elephants. And they use their tusks to soften the clay up, making it easier for them to eat. It looks like there is an elephant herd over to our left side. You'll get a brief glimpse of them. Try and go around to get a little bit of a better view, though. Now, you may notice that these elephants will sometimes have dirt, mud, even grass on their backs. That's actually their natural form of sunscreen. They have very sensitive skin that can get sunburnt. Their skin is also so sensitive that their least favorite thing in the world are bees. They don't like the fact that they sting their sensitive skin. That was actually a very important find for farmers that live in Kenya, who were having issues with elephants destroying their crops and their livelihoods, to the point where they were resorting to poaching. Now, to help those elephants out, as well as the humans, scientists help them build beehive fences to put around their farms. And it actually worked. It kept the elephants away. Also gave the farmers another source of income by selling honey. So you could say it's a win-win for both elephants and humans. We're coming up to another bird. These are flamingos over to our left, specifically the greater flamingo. Now, they are the tallest and lightest color pink of all the flamingo species. Now, if you look closely within that group, There are some gray and white flamingos, and those ones are chicks. They are just a couple months old. And look at that pink coloration over time. They get it from the food they eat in the water called brine shrimp. And that shrimp contains a protein called beta-carotene, which will give them that beautiful pink coloration in about a year or two. Like we have found the warden's post on the left. It looks like the warden has caught some poachers recently. Now that is a good thing. Poachers, unfortunately, they are becoming more sophisticated, even using night vision in the cover of darkness to do their bidding. But scientists and conservationists are doing their part to learn more about the animals and better ways to protect them, such as that Elephants and Bees project, as well as learning about those rhino horns being made of carrots and having no medicinal properties. We're still learning more and more each and every day about these animals. Oh, I do see something walking around over to our left. They're hanging out underneath the shade. And they are the fastest of the land animals, the cheetahs. Cheetahs can run up to 70 miles per hour, and if you look at their bodies, they are perfectly adapted for running at those high speeds. That long tail of theirs is actually used as a rudder to help them turn while maintaining those high speeds. They also have claws that don't fully retract back into their paws like other cats. They use those as cleats to dig into the ground to prevent themselves from slipping. Now, does anyone know if a cheetah is a big cat or a small cat?
Small.
They are a small cat. They're the largest of the small cats. And the difference between a big cat and a small cat is small cats can purr and meow. Big cats roar. So the cheetah can purr and meow. It looks like we have come across a kopie, this rock structure on our left. Kopies naturally form in the savanna and are used by animals as either their territory or to seek shelter. And I believe I do see a lion up on the kopie. It's over by that bush. The lions love calling these places their territory. It gives them a nice view of their surroundings. Try and go around and get a better view of them. Now the lions do rest about 16 to 20 hours a day. They save up all that energy for a hunt they would take later on in the evening. Now the males, they actually stay behind and guard the territory as well as their cubs, while the females, the lionesses, they're the ones that actually go out and do the hunting. Looks like these lions are looking over to our right, and if you look over to the right, you're going to see some white rhinos. That's probably what they're looking at. Those white rhinos, each one of them weighs about 5,000 pounds. We'll try and get a better view of them. Now, if you ever do hear a lion roar, they can be heard from up to 5 miles away. That's how they communicate with one another. It also tells other lion prides that this is my territory. Stay away. See another pretty iconic animal you may recognize, some warthogs over to our left. Now warthogs actually get their name for the warts that appear on their faces, which are just natural fat deposits. Now even though they have those short legs, they are pretty fast. They could run up to 35 miles per hour. Not nearly as fast as a cheetah though. They also have 2 sets of tusks to dig and protect those burrows, which are their homes. You'll see some ostrich as well over to our left. Now those ones are female ostrich. They have gray feathers. The males have dark black feathers. Looks like the ostrich are kind of in the way over by that truck. We'll get a little bit of a closer view of them. Now they can run up to 45 miles per hour and use their wings to turn, similar to the cheetah's tail. And you'll get another view of those white rhinos over to our right side. Now they weigh about 5,000 pounds each, much larger than the black rhino, and they also have square-shaped mouths, which the black rhino has a triangle-shaped mouth. So the main difference between a black and a white rhino is their size and the shapes of their mouths. You get a close look of these ostrich. Now, a lot of people like to think that ostrich bury their heads in the sand when they are scared. They actually don't do that. You'll notice their heads and neck are tan in color, which is the same color as the dirt. So what they'll do is they will lower their bodies completely low to the ground and put their heads on the ground. And it's just camouflage doing the work. Their heads are not buried at all. Now we're going to continue on, head into Magadi Glen, which is a forest. Now it looks like the warden is doing some renovations over in the forest. Even reserves go under renovations from time to time. It does look like the warden has something very cool planned for the future. Now we are going to make our way back towards civilization, but if you want to check out some more animals like the ones you saw today, head on over to Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. It's just beyond the exit of Kilimanjaro Safaris, and you could see a wide variety of animals over there, such as gorillas, colobus monkeys, meerkats, and naked mole rats. Maybe even catch another view of hippos and okapi as well. Now, if any of you are wilderness explorers, you are aboard the Simba 1. Simba as in the lion from the Lion King and the number 1. You can get that badge over at the entrance to Kilimanjaro Safaris underneath the tent where the troop leader's meeting. If you want to join the wilderness explorers, just talk to any of those troop leaders. They'll get you started with a booklet where you'll collect badges around the park. When you collect them all, you do become a senior wilderness explorer. Now, if you do want to help out any of the animals you've seen today, most of them are endangered. You can talk to the villagers about Disney's Conservation Fund. Disney's Conservation Fund is a non-profit that matches dollar for dollar for any amount that you donate, all in the effort to end extinction and to support those conservation efforts around the world. And you can also help out at home as well by reducing the amount of single-use plastics in your life. Like getting yourself a reusable straw. They even have keychain versions of one. You can also bring your own grocery bags to the grocery store to reduce the amount of plastic bags in your life. Now we are coming up to our stop. So make sure you gather up all your belongings. Please don't leave anything behind. It's a long way back to Africa after all once you leave. And we don't like saying goodbye here in Harambe. It is far too sad and final. So instead, I'd like to say Kwaherini, which does mean to go well.